Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. We're going to be in the player's handbook from 3.0 D&D. We're continuing the War Magic series, and where I last left off we had done level 1 druid and level 1 cleric spells. So let's do the arcane spells and see what spells are different than what everyone's familiar with in Pathfinder or 3.5 D&D. Okay, so the first spell is Alarm. Alarm, it requires a focus, divine focus if you're a ranger using this spell. Casting times 1 action, range is close, 25 feet plus 5 feet per 2 levels. It's a 25-foot radius emanation centered on the point in space. Duration is 2 hours per level. Alarm sounds as a mental or audible alarm each time a creature of tiny or larger size enters the warded area or touches it. A creature who speaks the password determined by you at the time of casting does not set off the alarm. You decide at the time of casting whether the alarm will be mental or audible. Mental alarm. A mental alarm alerts you and only you so long as you remain within a mile of the warded area. You note the single mental ping that awakens you from normal sleep, but does not otherwise disturb concentration. A silent spell has no effect on a mental alarm. Audible alarm. An audible alarm produces the sound of a handbell, and anyone within 60 feet of the warded area can hear it clearly. Reduce the distance by 10 feet for each interposing closed door and by 20 feet for each substantial interposing wall. In quiet conditions, the ringing can be heard faintly up to 180 feet away. The ringing lasts for 1 round. Creatures within a silenced spell cannot hear the ringing. Ethereal and astral creatures do not trigger the alarm unless the intruder becomes material while within the warded area. Arcane focus, a tiny bell and a piece of very fine silver wire. So we could take the alarm spell, we could put it on one-use items, and those one-use items could be a coin, a pebble, a piece of wood carved into something, and we could put those on in the area with a trigger word, and then say you decide it to last 8 hours, so you're going to need at least a 4th level spellcaster making it. You could set it up for a certain corridor has this alarm, and the person that places it is the person that the item is linked to. So if you wanted the mental alarm, you'd make them that way. So that way the person activating it, that's how it's going to work. Or they are all the audible one with the little bell sound. But I could see that being great for your campsites, great for passages that nobody should be going through, that an enemy could attack you from, so on and so forth. Endure elements. I think I've covered that in the cleric one. It's different than the endure elements from Pathfinder. In this version, you ignore the first 5 points of damage from an energy type that you specify when casting. So that'd be great to give your military guys potions of that, because that'd be a 1st level potion that would actually help them resist damage. Hold portal. It holds door shut. So let's flip over to hold portal. And hold portal would be good if you needed to keep someone from entering for a time to ready your all's side in a normal use in a dungeon. Hold portal. Casting times 1 action. Range is medium, 100 feet plus 10 feet per level. Target, an open portal up to 20 square foot per level. Duration 1 minute per level. This spell magically bars a door, gate, window, or shutter of wood, metal, or stone. The magic holds the portal fast, just as if it were securely closed and normally locked. A knock spell or a successful dispel magic spell can negate the hold portal. For a portal affected by this spell, add 5 to the normal DC for forcing the portal. So you can quickly separate your enemies with that too. If they're all coming down a corridor where there's a doorway, you could let a few through and then cast hold portal, and now you've isolated your enemies. Next is protection from chaos, evil, good, and law, which is a +2 to your AC, saves, counters mind control, hedges out elementals and outsiders. I don't think protection from elements has changed much between the editions. It's always kind of done what it says it does. Okay, so they list an entry for each version of the protection: protection from chaos, protection from evil, protection from law, so on and so forth. And all these shorter versions of it say read protection from evil. It works like that except against chaotic creatures or lawful creatures or good creatures. So let's read this one. Casting times 1 action. It's a touch. You need a material component for this. And it lasts 1 minute per level, so it lasts 10 rounds per level of the spellcaster. So putting this on one-use items, say symbols of their military unit or holy symbols that they're carrying or something, they could activate it one-use-wise and gain this protection when they're fighting that particular type of enemy, as long as the military is prepared for it. So say you're fighting a lot of evil orcs, you could do protection from evil on everybody. I'm not sure it's supposed to work greatly against regular creatures that are evil, but it definitely works against outsiders. So if you're fighting a lot of outsiders, that'll help you a whole lot too. So this spell wards creatures from attacks by evil creatures, because this is the protection from evil, from mental control, and from summoned or conjured creatures. It creates a magical barrier around the subject at a distance of 1 foot. The barrier moves with the subject and has 3 major effects. First, the subject gets a +2 deflection bonus to AC and a +2 resistance bonus to saves. Both these bonuses apply against attacks made by evil creatures. Second, the barrier blocks any attempt to possess the warded creature, as by magic jar attack, or to exercise mental control over the creature, as by vampire's supernatural domination ability, which works similar to dominate person. The protection does not prevent a vampire's domination itself, but it prevents the vampire from mentally commanding the protected creature. If the protection from evil effect ends before the domination effect does, the vampire would then be able to mentally command the controlled creature. Likewise, the barrier keeps out a possessing life force, but does not expel one if it's in place before the spell is cast. This second effect works regardless of alignment. Third, the spell prevents bodily contact by summoned or conjured creatures. This causes the natural weapon attacks of such creatures to fail, and the creature to recoil if such attacks require touching the warded creature. Good elementals and outsiders are immune to this effect, because this is the protection from evil. The protection against contact by summoned or conjured creatures ends if the warded creature makes an attack or tries to force the barrier against the blocked creature. Spell resistance can allow a creature to overcome this protection and touch the warded creature. Arcane material component, a little powdered silver with which to trace a 3-foot diameter circle on the floor or ground around the creature to be warded. So that sounds expansive. You need 5 gold worth of powdered silver to make holy water. So take that into mind when you're considering how expensive that is. So we got that. So by the sounds of it, you have to put a circle around them to gain that advantage. I've always had it where it didn't fail to stay on you for the duration of the spell, but the way it's worded is as soon as you attack, you lose it. So that is interesting. I'll have to bring that up with my players and figure out if we want to change the rules or play it the way we've always played it. Shield. Invisible disc gives cover, blocks magic missiles. Casting times 1 action, range is personal, target you, duration 1 minute per level. Shield creates an invisible mobile disc of force that hovers in front of you. It negates magic missile attacks directed at you. The disc also intercepts attacks, providing 3/4 cover, which is a +7 to AC and a +3 on reflex saves against attacks that affect an area. The disc moves out of the way when you attack, so it does not provide cover for opponents. The disc protects you only against magic missiles and attacks from one direction. You designate half the battlefield with yourself, the dividing line, as being blocked by the shield. The other half is not. You can change the defensive direction of the shield, that is, rotate the dividing line, once as a free action on each of your turns. So if it's in front of you, the dividing line's in front of you. If it's beside you, the dividing line's beside you, so on and so forth. So you can rotate it around you to protect you how you see fit. I forgot that it gave you such a big cover bonus. So that would be very advantageous in melee for your soldiers. So one use item, maybe it's something that they have as a shield, on a shield, or maybe it's something that they carry that they can activate. If, say, they're all unshielded phalanx, so they're the 3rd, 4th, 5th rows back, they could activate this to get a +7 bonus against, say, ranged attacks from that direction, other spear thrusts, so on and so forth. Create it high enough they can get at least 5 minutes, 50 rounds of protection, and an AC bonus of 7 would almost be the equivalent of wearing full plate in addition to whatever they're already wearing. So that is going to be very advantageous, and it blocks magic missile. So you could use it in that fashion real easily. And I think I'm going to start implementing that with my party soon. So next is grease. It makes a 10-foot square or one object slippery. They have all the spells divided by their schools in this, so they're not in alphabetical order in the whole list. They're just in alphabetical order in their schools. So it's going to be a little bit more flipping around than what I want to do. Grease. Takes 1 action to cast. The range is close, 25 feet plus 5 feet per 2 levels. Target or area, 1 object or a 10-foot by 10-foot square. Duration 1 round per level. A grease spell covers a solid surface with a layer of slippery grease. Any creature entering the area or caught in it when the spell is cast must make a successful reflex save or slip, skid, and fall. Those that successfully save can move at half speed across the surface. However, those that remain in the area must each make a new saving throw every round to avoid falling and to be able to move. The DM should adjust saving throws by circumstance. For example, a creature charging down an incline that is suddenly greased has little chance to avoid effect, but its ability to exit the affected area is almost assured, whether it wants to or not. The spell can also be used to create a greasy coating on an item, a rope, ladder, rungs, or a weapon handle, for instance. Material objects not in use are always affected by the spell, while objects wielded or employed by creatures receive a reflex saving throw to avoid the effect. If the initial saving throw fails, the creature immediately drops the item. A saving throw must be made each round the creature attempts to pick up or use the greased item. Material component: a bit of pork, rind, or butter. In this version, it doesn't say that it's not flammable. And I would always rule that it is flammable, so that works. So you could set this grease on fire, which would not only be a slippery surface, but would also be very entertaining to watch them burn as they get covered in the grease sliding through it or falling in it. But you could do the same thing with oil, as long as you're ruling that oil is slippery enough that they would be falling down and whatnot, which it should be. My favorite tactic that I've used recently is to throw a bunch of oil at enemies and let them try to fight in that area. And as they're slipping and following, that was my major goal. Later, we can set them on fire if we want, but major goal is to prevent their footwork from working. So you could put grease spells in vials, so potion vials, and they just throw that vial at the area and a 10-foot area of grease appears. So that'd be a smaller, lighter thing to cast, to use, than a flask of oil. And a flask of oil only covers 1 square, where this would cover 2. So you could hit an enemy with that vial and cover them in grease, which could be to your advantage, could be to your disadvantage. If you hit their weapon with it, now all of a sudden their weapon's covered in grease. So on and so forth. You could, as a one-use item, you could use it in a lot of ways. I think I'm not going to get very far through these spells without breaking this up into parts. It's already 18 minutes, and we're only 6 or 7 spells in. So we'll end this with grease, and I'll do a part 2 starting with mage armor. So until we all game again, guys.